Moving from California to South Carolina. I'm originally from Los Angeles. I lived there for well over 30 years. I've been living in Lexington, South Carolina for about 4 years now, and I do love it. I wanted to make a video helping anybody that's kind of on the fence right now about thinking about making that move all the way across the country to maybe start a new life, transfer to a new job, whatever it may be. Because I was once you, and I've been in your shoes, and I know what goes into the whole thought process of, is this a good idea? I'm nervous about making this move. Should I really do this? So I'll go down the list of things that are important to me and I have found in South Carolina that have really made me happy here. So let's start with affordability. Obviously, that's one of the big ones. And if you're in California right now, probably anywhere in California, it's really expensive. As I said, I lived there for over 30 years, so I know the costs that go into living there, whether it's housing or the day-to-day stuff, going out to eat, gas, or whatever it may be. It is really expensive. South Carolina, in my opinion, is not as expensive as California, probably by a long shot. Now, what's been interesting over the last couple of years is we've had inflation, right? So there's been prices in South Carolina that probably aren't the norm, but because of inflation, they've been a little bit higher. But when I actually moved here in 2019, gas was $1.70. I don't think I ever saw $1.70 in the 30 plus years that I lived in California. Things are more affordable here. Groceries, going out to eat, going to the movies, gas, obviously housing compared to California, which frankly, in my opinion, has gone out of control. Now, you also have to think about the trade-off, right? If you're moving here, you might be making less money than you're currently making in California. Obviously, things are, taken into consideration where you live. A higher cost of living, hopefully your wage is higher. If it's a lower cost of living, your wage might be a little lower. But the big takeaway here, and I'm gonna roll it into my next point, is your whole work-life balance and being stressed out and being frustrated. I can tell you firsthand that towards the tail end of living in California, I was pretty much at my wit's end. I was stressed, I was frustrated, I was sitting in traffic for over an hour, whether it was going to work or maybe even just going out on a Friday night. I wanted to go to the movies and sitting in that traffic, or going to a concert, or going to Dodger Stadium. Wherever you went, there seemed to be traffic. But it wasn't just the traffic that was stressful, right? It was the hamster race, or the rat race, I should say, that was stressful. And then you got the other things. There's the pollution, there's the crime, there's the homelessness situation. There's everything that comes with it that is just, it's a burden on you, and you're seeing it every single day. I chose to move to South Carolina, or one of the reasons was because I was just ready for a new way of life. I was ready to get time back in my life, and I wanted to be less stressed. And yes, I have found that living here, and I can tell you that firsthand. So if that's one of the things you're on the fence about and you're finding yourself stressed out and you're almost just working to survive in California, I can tell you that I have found the opposite in South Carolina. So that's one of the bigger components of why I chose to live here, and it has worked out for me. I don't really think that there's traffic here, although the locals will tell you that there is traffic. There's just not as much to stress about here. I find that the air quality is better. I find that I don't see as much litter as I used to see where I was growing up. There are just these, those little things that I was saying that add up every day that I don't really see here. And it just makes things easier. I've also found that I've gotten a ton of time back in my life because I'm not commuting, right, really as much. My commute is very, very short. So I got all that time back in my day. And people generally here just have a different approach towards things. They are not so much involved with the rat race. They don't care about the rat race. They don't care about, maybe some of the materialistic things you would find in California, specifically Los Angeles. So there isn't that stress to constantly compete and keep up, if you will. So that in itself, when you talk about, well, I'm not going to get as much money, but you are going to get, I hate to sound like this, but you are going to get richer in other aspects of your life. And I can say that that's true. And I have found that myself. So we talked about affordability, and we talked about getting that time back in your life and just an easier overall, less stressful experience. What are some other things? People are really nice here. People wave to each other. I remember when I first moved here, people were waving at me when I would drive by them, when I walked by them. I thought it was really weird at first. And now here I am 4 years later, and I wave at everybody that I walk by or everybody that I drive by. That's just the way of life here. People truly are friendly. And, the cities, California, everybody's so involved. They're down looking in their phones. Everybody's got that short fuse, going back to all those reasons I was talking about earlier. And it's just a little bit of a slower pace here. I guess I should say not a little bit, quite a bit of a slower pace here. But that reflects on people going back to being less stressed and just being overall happier. I've also noticed that you just have more freedom as a person here in South Carolina. I just feel like it's not as, I don't want to get political, but I don't know. There's not so much people telling me what to do or how I need to do something, and I'm free to make my own decisions here, which has actually been really nice. What are some other things about moving from California to South Carolina? Living in California, I think we could all admit there's a ton to do. Whether you live in Los Angeles or San Francisco or San Diego, a short car ride. I mean, you could drive the entire state. You can go down the PCH. It's a beautiful drive. You can go to Santa Barbara for the day. There's so much to do. If you live in Los Angeles, you can go to the beach in the morning, and we all know you can go up to the snow by that afternoon. I will tell you that living in Lexington, South Carolina has been really nice because of the convenience of that there's so much within a short drive. So for somebody like me that grew up accustomed just having so much convenience around them, the trade-off here is I can live specifically in Lexington, Columbia area, and I can be close to so much within a short car drive. So Charlotte, North Carolina is about an hour and a half from me. Charleston, a little less than 2 hours. Atlanta, 3 hours. Obviously, it's a little bit further. Greenville is close. Asheville is close. The beaches are close, and the mountains are close. I also have the lake here, Lake Murray, and it's really beautiful. There are rivers. There is so much to do, and not to mention Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia is a city. There's concerts, that come through. There are state fairs. There are things to do here. I don't feel as though I'm being robbed of entertainment. I don't feel as though I'm missing out because there's nothing to do here. If I really want, it's really whatever I want that I can go get. If I want a bigger city, great shopping, entertainment, maybe a Braves game, I'll go to Atlanta. If I want incredible restaurants, go to the beach, take the kids to the aquarium, Charleston, hour and 45 minutes. Charlotte, closest really big city to us. Great shopping, if there's a concert maybe there that I want to go see. Again, great restaurants. You can go do all those things that you would find in a bigger city. And for me to drive an hour and a half to Charlotte, that's nothing. I used to sit in traffic for an hour and a half in Los Angeles. So I'd rather be on the road, look at the trees, listen to some music, and boom, I'm in Charlotte. So I don't feel like there's a huge trade-off in terms of, you're leaving, the entertainment capital of the world, Los Angeles, or anywhere in California, really, honestly, that you live, there's tons of stuff to do. There's still stuff to do here. And then you get the whole aspect of traveling the Southeast, go down to Florida, check everything out, go to Disney World. You have Georgia, then, you shoot up to North Carolina, go to the Smoky Mountains. There's so much to explore here. You're on the Eastern Seaboard, right? You can shoot up to Washington, D.C., New York. You're trading the West Coast for the East Coast. So there's no shortage of adventures to do. So we talked about affordability. We talked about being less stressed, getting time back in your life. We talked about convenience and the things that there are to do here. Those, to me, are probably some of the really big things that are always at the top of the list for me. So I think that's it for the video. This was very organic. I might have, repeated myself a couple times, but I didn't really want to go off a script. I'm available if you have any questions, if you want to talk to me a little bit more about your move across the country. You do know probably that I am a real estate agent here in Lexington. I do help people moving from all across the country. So if you have questions about which movers to use, the process of buying from another state in order to relocate here, I'm happy to talk to you about that process. You can also just ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. My contact information is in my YouTube channel, and I hope this video helps.